Dave is a 1993 political comedy directed by Ivan Reitman, starring Kevin Kline and Sigourney Weaver and Frank Langella, or Frank Langella, however you want to say his name. And this is got to be the best and funniest political film ever made. It isn't necessarily the best. If I made a list of top 5 of political films, Dave would be definitely in that caliber. But as a comedy, I think that's one of the reasons why most people don't regard this as being as great or as high up as something like Lincoln or All the President's Men, because it's comedy, and lots of people don't really regard comedies as being quite as important as the dramas or the epics. But with Dave, the spirit of Frank Capra is really captured in this, which is perfect. In fact, I would actually call this better than some of Capra's comedies. Like, you have Meet John Doe and Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, but I thought that this one was better. It was funnier, and there's just way too many things in this film there's way too many things in this film to love, that there's so much you'll lose track of it in an instant. This movie is quite enchanting. I mean, you've never seen politics look so enjoyable and fun, because it makes you feel like you're the one. Like, as I've said before, lots of the great movies really suck you deep into the moment, where we identify with the character and it feels like we're actually living in that world. And with Dave, we feel like we are Dave, and we're making a huge difference in what is one of the most populated countries in the world. So Dave is about this. It's about this middle-aged man named Dave, played by Kevin Kline, and he is a very kind-hearted man, and he just loves everyone. Everyone loves him, and the president, who's also played by Kevin Kline, is very stuck up. He's a pretty big snob, and every so often he gets a double to replace him in certain things. The thing with Dave is that he is literally a carbon copy, like physically, that is. There's nobody in the world that looks more like the president than this dude named Dave. And when the president ends up passing away, they keep the death under wraps, and Dave takes over. Doesn't really know a whole lot about politics, but he really wants to break all the rules and to turn the United States into the best country in the world. Because I don't mean this in a negative light, but just about every country in the world is flawed. Like right now, I'm in the U.S. Vacationing. There are flaws here. I'm originally from Canada. There are flaws up there, and the way that Dave is able to take things, break the rules, make it such an endearing, loving place is like we fall in love with Dave. Like we fall in love with the character. We fall in love with the movie because it's just so friggin' well written. And if you already love Kevin Kline, like as I have, then this movie right here is a definite winner for being one of Kline's very best films and one of his very best performances. You can't not love Kevin Kline. But in the case of Dave, you love him even more than you already have. Now, a little bit later on in the film, as you might figure out, Sigourney Weaver, who plays the First Lady, she figures some stuff is up, but the movie is able to dodge predictability, dodge sappiness, dodge really any sort of flaw that this movie has. Oh, I mean that this movie would have had. It, you think that this movie would be really sappy, but it completely goes around that, and you think that this movie would be really predictable. Also, it goes around that, but it also, aside from those two things, it actually takes real cinematic risks. I don't mean any sort of crazy camera movements like Oliver Stone would do. I mean the way that the writing is, and it's not afraid to love its characters dearly. The love that that's shown for the characters on paper comes onto the screen and into our hearts. I adore this movie. I have to give it a perfect 4-star score.